Roll call, please. I'm still here.
Here.
I'm here.
Minutes from committee of the whole, August 26th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the committee as a whole of August 22nd, 2025.
26th.
What?
26th.
Oh, did I say 25? Sorry.
You said 26th.
6, 2025.
Thank you.
Got it.
Was that Grant?
Right.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Thank you. Public comment. At this time, we'll open the floor 2 minutes for citizens to voice their opinions committee of the whole. Committee of the whole can respondents and make up open meeting. Come on back up. Name and address.
Chris
I
Atkinson,
know who you are.
That's fine, I'll follow this rule. Chris Atkinson, 6205 Highway 31. So I like to say when something doesn't make sense, there's a reason. There's a lot of puzzle pieces that are happening as I'm learning and gathering data about this that don't make sense. There's, for example, a recent EPA change that deregulated energy and the environmental impact of whatever emissions that they're putting out, and it's specifically applied to data centers. Okay, you've got hundreds of billions of dollars of federal funding going to advance this project, right? And there's been people that have gone long before us who are secretly trying to advance this without our knowledge. There's a reason why they're creating shell companies and not announcing who they are, because if they said that they were people that are made up and people were able to have advance notice, like knowing, for example, if somebody was going to come and speak at a meeting 2 weeks from now, then people would have time to react. The public would then be aware and be able to collaborate and unify together to oppose something that would relatively otherwise slip under the radar. So the money that's gone before this project has already paid people off. It's already bought the opinions of people who see dollar signs and they see the value that it's going to bring. Promise value is not actually true. And they don't look at it from other perspectives. So the information that you're being fed just might be skewed or it might be biased. And I need you guys to consider objectively for your people, like I said, that the information that you're being fed is part of a long game that they've been playing long before you first heard about it. And you're just now privy to it and you're probably a pawn in their game.
Another chance. No, that's all right. Go ahead. It's 5 letters.
5 letters, 1 syllable.
That's right.
Prescott Balch, 7227 Foley Road. Adding on to what Shel Erlinson said before, I will estimate of this development is 1 million square feet of data center space, 2 buildings. Rough estimate, but that's as large as any of the largest data centers currently being built. The customer is anonymous, has to be one of the biggest corporations in the world. It has to be Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, a large bank, a data center provider. They will have more lawyers than the village has employees. They'll have more money budgeted for legal fees than the village has in total revenue. Upon signing the deal, they will have all the leverage on us now and in the future. In the lending business that I spent a lot of time in, they call that concentration risk. Have so much revenue from a single customer, in this case, taxpayer. It's a dangerous place to be. And wherever that customer is, given the size that they are and the financial muscle that they have, we're going to be in way over our heads on this deal. We're a little tiny village. They will outgun us and outclass us at every turn, and they'll get their way. Or the person they sell it to will get their way. I urge you to be extremely cautious about this decision that you're making. Take your time, learn as much as you can, ask questions, ask what questions to ask, and make a good decision on behalf of the village. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paula Pintar, 7348 Drive Road. Again, regarding the data center, I can't speak as eloquently as the previous speakers,
You do very well.
but I'm very concerned because And we all should be. This is a red flag. We know there's big money behind this. But if a developer can't name who the owner is, why are we giving them the time of day? We keep bending over and bending over and allowing them to run us already. And this is very concerning. I really urge this village to think about the comments that have been made here tonight, what we're going to look like, and we're going to lose control. And it's going to be eaten up one block at a time. To me, it shows this developer and the people behind it, the money behind it, it shows disrespect and arrogance because they already know we still hold the card. If we learn what we need to learn to push back on this. And it's also unfortunate that there were many residents tonight that voiced their concern that they didn't know about this until a couple of days ago. Well, part of that's on us. We're only notifying people when 800 yards of our 8 yards of this perimeter. This affects the entire village. And I really take an issue with it. The big center that went in on Port Washington, that community fought it, but We Energies incentivized that developer, and it's twice the size of what the original size of that was supposed to be. So, I've lived here for 30 years. Prior to that in Oak Creek, I would never go back from Oak Creek in a minute. I don't even like driving in that town. And it looks like every other replica of cookie cutter towns. We do have an essence here, and we do have an integrity. So I please urge you to really take the knowledge that's in this audience, and it's nothing. It's good to learn. We all have to learn every day. So please, I urge you to really hold the cards on this and do what is right for this village.
Thank you.
Emily Lansell, 10810 Silver Mile Road. Sorry, I took a little bit more time last time. The last part of my statement was that there are negative impacts to residents if we were to build the data center. Construction noise for sure, light pollution, loss of wildlife and open space. In return, we get this facility that will employ maybe 20 to 22 people. I have done my homework. It is a data center. It is going to have servers and technology, not people. We get nothing in exchange. That's what worries me. We hear that this thing's going to be built. We have not heard what is the benefit to us, community. If we need to generate revenue as a village, there are better ways to do it than building a data center that's going to be temporary at best. I want you to, as our elected board, to know what you're getting into. We want you to advocate for us. We love this community. We don't want it to change. I understand that growth is important, but make sure we're growing in the right way. Thank you.
Carl Fag again, 7325 Foley Road. As I stated in the previous comment section, I have experience with developing a master plan for the community. And while being on our planning commission, we had a professional municipal planner who would sit in on our planning committee meetings who helped us develop our plan. And the developers would come and they would try to propose different options. But we would always go back to the master plan. And during the development process, we did take all the community input for it from the public hearing. And then the professional municipal planner would help draw up the maps and all that, even drawing the roads that were planned for the future. So you're asking to rezone a chunk of our village, and we don't even know where the roads are going to be. We don't know how it's going to be developed, and what the adjoining parcels are. That would never stand when you look at a master plan and wish to change it. We have a new special committee now looking at the next 15 years to 2050, and that's where you get kick the can and figure out, you know, which way it's gonna land. And so any major rezone like this should not go through until you develop a master plan for town. And have a professional municipal planner on your committee to help you. You know, so, that's my comment that, you know, wait until 2050, plan comes out, have community input into that, where we can sit down with the master planner and have, discussions on the proper use of the land.
Good evening, Village Board. My name is Mark Godsacker. I live at 4950 Carter Drive, and in about 5 days, I will have been a year and a month president. I was born in Sheboygan, raised up in Newburgh on a farm, spent 20 years in the Navy from 81 to 2001. When I retired there, I ended up buying a house in Flatland Country to let the kids finish up school. I'm now back. But while I was down there from 2000 to 2008, I was a trustee for the village of Haynesville. Haynesville is about a mile and a half square, about a mile and a half, 4,000 people, and it ain't getting any bigger. But while I was a trustee there, we had Hayden Doyle come in because they wanted to put in an asphalt thing on the proposed 53 extension that was going to come through from Talent Plan or wherever it is, at Lakebrook Road right now, to come up to eliminate traffic. Southern Lake County, Cook County, etc. With the possibility of putting in a concrete pipe. After listening to everything and the fact that they wanted to go and use their own water, we are on well water in Haynesville. The only village in Lake County that is not on that water. But we told them they had to be on our water, because otherwise we were losing out. We also had other restrictions. Residents come in and complained about the smell of the asphalt. They said, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll put in cherry pit chips and make it smell nice." Long story short, we said no. Okay, 53 had not made it up to where they talked about yet. Illinois is still struggling on how to figure out to go and upgrade the infrastructure from 2 lanes to 4 lanes to 3 lanes, to down to 2 to get rid of all the traffic. And this is both east, west, and north, south. And I live here. But when I did move in here with my wife, what we did notice and what we liked about the house that we bought was, other than the fact that we're across from Casey's and we can tell what the price of gas is every day, was that it was very much a bedroom community. I have lived up and down the entire eastern seaboard in my 20-year Navy career, with the exception for the last 6 years of my time in Illinois, okay, where I was stationed at Great Lakes. I've seen many things. I've done IT for the Navy, all the way up to being a system administrator, building, designing networks, etc. This ain't gonna bring you any money. I don't care what kind of stuff they blow at you. These are gonna be run on what they call blade servers, my guess. And it takes like 2 or 3 guys per shift to go around and change blades in one field. It's not, if they're not gonna tell you how much water they're gonna use, and they're not gonna tell you how much electricity they're gonna use, etc., etc., I tell you no. I've been down that path. Okay, and I just want to let you know that this is the hottest news I've had in a long time. So, thank you for letting me come up to the podium. Good luck on your service.
Anybody else?
Gabriel Barkov, 51475. I'm not really gonna beat you guys up like everyone else about the rezoning committee. I'll let my wife do that. When we started this meeting, we said a pledge of allegiance. Sitting here and sitting in a bunch of these meetings, sometimes I feel like we're just doing it as lip service. You guys pledge allegiance to this community and to this village. As this gentleman said, I spent 30 years in the military. I was in the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts. You guys are gonna come and go. We all, our lives are marked by, 2 dates and a dash. You gotta make the best of that dash. Out of all the combat deployments I have, we always try to improve the communities that we lived in, even though we were still fighting. Anyway, that being said, you always want to leave wherever you're at better than what you received. So, yes, you're elected officials, and yes, you're going to make the decisions that you want to make, but you did make an oath in this county and this community to make it better. And I think that that's basically what everyone is saying is, we want to make it better versus just starting to add some stuff. Thank you for your time.
Just so you know, you're talking to a trustee over here.
Already.
All right. Trustees.
Which I would expect you to understand more than me.
I might avoid this meeting. Okay, anybody else? Just looking at it.
Look on the
Carolyn Barkholm, 5147 Pine Tree Circle. Okay, so regardless of taxes or anything else, one thing that I have actually forgot to mention other times that I've been up here is one of the sales pitches for this data center rezoning, basically, regardless if it was to be a data center or anything else, one of the sales pitches was because it would be considered to help Caledonia grow economically and to keep up. But the thing of it is, as somebody who hasn't lived here that long, I've looked at the history and the population growth of Caledonia, and I went all the way back to 1980. It has grown by 5,000 people. That's it. And that's almost 50 years. Only 5,000 people more are living here now. I don't think it needs to grow industrial, if you ask me. I think people are very happy with it the way that it is, because otherwise, if everybody was coming here and they wanted that much more, they'd have already been knocking on the door and telling you this already. They wouldn't have waited this long. People are just chilled out. They like it the way it is. And you're not hearing people say, come up here, you're not hearing them come up here and say, yeah, we want this deficit. Every single meeting, we repeatedly come up here and tell you, no rezoning, we don't want that. Not once has one person been up here to contradict what we've said. So that ought to show you right there where the heart is regarding rezoning that land.
Okay, thank you. Community updates, Nancy, planning commission?
Planning Commission does have the data center on its September 29th meeting, and I'm not aware of anything else in the pipeline.
That doesn't work out.
Unfortunately, I did send you. Right. If you check your email, I unfortunately did between village board and committee of the whole, I update, but short, we have about 15 items on the agenda. The agenda is not finalized until September 15th, but we do have some comprehensive plan items that are on there that might be of interest to the board and to the public regarding the public participation plan as part of that. And a reminder to the village board that we do have the Southeast Planning Commission as our consultant. So we have a professional planner in addition to myself that is working with staff, with the village to develop the update to the comprehensive plan. In addition, we'll be reviewing the survey and also doing a SWOT and word cloud exercise with the Planning Commission to help gain direction and input from the Planning Commission. In addition to that, there is a rezone in CSM for a parcel on 4 Mile in Nicholson. recategorizing, A3 to A2 for a 40-plus acre parcel that will be subdivided into 3 lots. There's also a conditional use extension request by Parkview Apartment to extend another 2 years for the ability to build a 73 units warehouse apartment complex over off of Douglas. And lastly,
There's a, I'm just reading this.
There's a presentation on the 4 unit.
yep, there is a presentation on a potential 4-unit multifamily building on the northeast corner of 4 Mile and Erie. As well, there's no action taken on that decision of changing the land use map as well as a rezone for a particular parcel. And then lastly, the list. I'd like to bring up to the board's attention is that the Special Comprehensive Plan Work Committee is meeting on September 17th. And they'll be working on a SWOT analysis, word cloud exercise as well in the month of September. Meeting for everyone to attend if they wish.
Thank you, Pete. And Nancy? Parks, Ali's not here. Board of Visitors, Lee's not here. Grant, do you have something from Visitor Center?
Well, Ms. Pintar mentioned the fact that Terry Grieving was here talking about celebrating Caledonia, and I'm in the process of gathering photos to get to Visit Virginia County so that they can use those. To want to have them in particular to bring people up from Illinois to celebrate Caledonia and its some of its horse things, some of its rural areas. So we're collecting those pictures.
Okay. Other committees is me and I don't think. New business 2026 Humane Society contract. Who has this pick up? Do you have something? Humane Society contract?
We just got it, last week, and it was in your packet.
Right.
Usually it's just at Schedule A, now it's got the actual, services for the Village of Caledonia, but then it's also Schedule A, which is Schedule B. I believe with the updated contract from years past, it actually went down slightly. And, you know, I think I'm just reviewing it right now before we were talking about it again. I think it covers some of the elements that are later in the, agenda with E. So, number 7.
You'd like an action from us?
Correct.
Do we have questions?
Yes.
I do. Page 5 of the contract, section 5.6.3. And this is something we've talked about in general here. It's livestock and exotic animal impounds. And I had asked Todd to take a look at this area in particular, which he did. And I appreciate it. And I think we want to make sure we're all aware of the language where it says parties recognize that there may be circumstances where it's practically impossible for WHS to house these animals. In those cases, the parties will work cooperatively in good faith to seek the best solution under the circumstances. So I appreciate the work Todd did in exploring this, and I think it leads us as the village to try and think that through of what that could actually look like. I make a motion to move this contract to the board for full approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Move to the board. 2026 RIDE Receive contract. I think it's in our packet also. We all get a chance to peruse. And there's a vote from each of you on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the ride contract. We'll move it to the board.
Move to the board. Do we have a second?
Second.
Brandon?
Yeah.
Sorry, Brandon.
Mr. President, so I just want to let you know, under 10, that's the only real change, where I added similar to Visit Racine, for some reporting, some information from Trevor at Racine Transit to give us a quarterly update on ridership to from where, within the village, not that he's actually gonna come here and do that, but he'll disseminate that information to the village and kind of quarterly updates on where we're at with ridership.
Did we extend this for more than 1 year? I know one time you were talking about 3 years.
I think I did it for
Should have
two.
received,
Yeah, but I think I did this one for two, and then the next one is, this goes through 2027, so it'll end similar to the same time as visits for King County. That way they're kind of in tandem, they go together.
Thank you for doing that.
When we, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Approved, and move to the village. Discussion on the village board SWOT.
I'm the one who asked for that. I think we should find a format in which to do that. This goes to the subcommittee on land use planning. We are the elected officials to represent people, so I do think our voice or our doing the exercise within ourselves is important to be shared and considered.
I agree with Nancy, and in particular, I think we need to understand that the planning commission is an appointed commission, appointed by the village president. It's not elected, as pointed out. And so their views are the views of those people who were appointed for whatever reason. And the special committee,
No public comment.
the,
Public comment.
and the special committee likewise was specifically selected without an opportunity for people to apply to it, and there were no applications. And to me, it's still a mystery as to why particular people were selected on it. So I think it's important that that carefully selected group of people are doing the SWOT analysis, that's their views of what are the strengths and weaknesses, not necessarily the views of the board as a whole. So I think I agree with Nancy that it's important that the board do a SWOT analysis, because that's, at least we've been elected by the village.
Staff completely agrees, which is why it's part of the public participation plan. It's already in the works to be coming to the village board to do a SWOT analysis, along with the plan commission and the special committee.
Well, I can appreciate that, but we didn't know that.
Right.
Well, you do know that because that committee reports to the plan commission, which reports to the village board.
I've been at all those meetings, there's been no discussion about the SWOT, the board publicly discussed. I'm glad we're getting there.
Discussion on this disposition of records stored at Bonnie Park. Madam Clerk, did you want to talk about this?
I suggested that, and I think, and Brian,
You sent quite a report.
he did. An ugly report.
We didn't listen to the novel.
I didn't want to, I had to have this report written when we had the Parks Committee, recommend analyzing that location specifically for a dog park. So half of that was paperwork I already wrote, so I didn't spend that much time. However, it does summarize mostly what we did see, which is that building is not the most comfortable to be inside of. There's species everywhere, there's mold, there's more than likely asbestos, and at this time, staff doesn't feel very comfortable going through all the records and trying to go through the boxes and boxes of things without having a better understanding of what environmentally is going on inside of that building, let alone being able to determine what documents need to be scanned, saved, or can be handled safely in what sort of fashion. So, if any recommendation is to be made at this time, it would be to authorize staff to order a environmental or a hazardous materials assessment of that building.
I will make that motion. And so, there's a building that in Gorney Park, in the back of it, the roof is leaky. There are cartons of records that have been in there for God knows how long, and nobody honestly knows what they are. They're probably old county records. And as Ryan just said, it's in terrible shape.
What's the motion?
Yeah, but I'm explaining to this.
What's the motion?
The motion is to direct staff to do a hazardous materials analysis of those records with an eye to disposing them, however we can.
It's under the board.
Send it to the board.
Do you have a second on that, please?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Fran. This item will place your future meeting agendas. Wow, okay. Moving on, continuing business, ordinance, 2025 XXX, to amend section 2, 3, and 9 related to quorum, village board members, absence and privilege of teleconference and video conference. This has come before us several times. I am going to do the unusual, I'm going to make a motion to approve the material provided with a change to the verbiage under section B2.
Wait, hang on.
That's something,
Section,
B, under B2,
okay,
it says, I'm quoting it, it says village board may notify the village president no later than 5 p.m. on Wednesday. I want to change that language to say village president and or the village clerk on the Friday before our next meeting. So I'll make the motion with that change. If I can have a second.
I'll second it.
A motion a second, is there any further discussion?
yeah, I think somewhere in here, we've looked at this so many times, I think somewhere in there, there's something that requires you to give permission to someone who asks.
I didn't say that.
Is that not there?
I don't-
Is that removed?
That was in the policy.
Mhm.
We have my permission.
Yeah, I don't have your permission.
Are we just looking at this discrete piece of language or the whole thing?
The whole thing. Ordinance 2025 X2X.
Was it gonna come back to us in a suggested revised format? Because all I'm seeing on my packet is one page.
Right, because it was divided into two things at the last meeting, a teleconference and video conference policy, and then there was the attendance policy. This doesn't have any real relation to the teleconference and video conference.
The attendance.
Correct, this is more the attendance and participation. Well, the section 239, which is related to the forum. But it allows for teleconferencing.
Okay, and I thought we were waiting until we knew what the equipment was that we could use for video. I thought we were gonna wait and see
What the cost
That would be
what the
for
cost of the, till we add whatever it takes to do a video.
Sure, for the policy, but this is more of a motion related to an ordinance for participation on a village board if you're going to be absent. I would say if we wanted to, we could also take out the video conferencing part and do line 4. We could take that out. We have some capability for teleconferencing, but I didn't feel that this was under the policy, which was related more to video conferencing. And teleconferencing, this is more related to letting the village president or clerk know that you're going to be in attendance or not in attendance, and then if there's any means by which we can have you, or the absent trustee be a part of the meeting, this will allow for them.
I guess I object to the line that says the village president may use their discretion to allow or disallow such attendance. Seems to me that we presume that we're all acting in good faith, and if somebody says I can't make it, but I can make it by telephone, we don't need to have somebody, you don't have to go to the principal's office and ask permission to do that. It seems to me we should just strike that language. So that if someone says they're not able to make it, I understand giving notice.
You'd like to strike that one?
Yes.
Well, it does say it has determined in village president's sole discretion.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
This goes back to our previous discussion on this thing, we're adults up here. And hopefully people elected us to be adults. And if we can't make it and we're willing to make alternative arrangements within the confines of here, if we don't show up for meetings, we should get voted out of office.
Okay, I have no problem striking that.
Okay.
Want to revise my motion?
Yes, I move to revise your motion.
No, I'll make the motion, then I'll revise my,
Okay.
I'll revise my motion, if that's all right with you.
Sure.
Yeah, add the amendment to strike. What's the sentence?
It's in section 3,
Two.
it's in B3.
Oh, the village president may use it their discretion to allow.
No, this is
It's also,
determined in the village president's sole discretion. It's in B3.
it's also in B2.
Yeah.
Where it says the village president may use their discretion to allow or disallow such attendance.
Is that the same sentence?
No, they're two
No.
different sections.
Two sections.
But it's the same verbiage?
Right.
Correct.
All right.
We can get the correct verbiage and then we'll look at it again, just.
We can,
Okay.
Clarify.
Yeah.
Again.
I don't have a problem with that. Okay, we'll take that, we'll strike that.
Okay.
So there's a motion to approve, second, and move to the board, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. President, hold on, just for clarity purposes, so looking at the ordinance, under B2, just for clarity, I think that your amendment was to strike the second sentence,
Wait a minute.
which reads, the village president may use their discretion to allow or disallow such attendance. And then under B3, this is all one section. So if you're striking, I think the motion or the amendment was to strike as determined, the good cause determination as determined in the village's president's sole discretion. Or if the president is the member requesting, then the vice president would consider instead be the most senior member. So you've got conditions as a part of this section. So I just want to make sure it makes sense. So it would read now, no member shall utilize for the participation methods referenced in subsection 2 of this section for 2 or more meetings consecutively unless either of the following applies. The member demonstrates in writing good cause, or B, if a state of emergency has proclaimed by a federal, state, or local authority.
Correct.
So my question is, who determines good cause?
The member requesting it, I would say. Presuming good faith on the part of.
Okay, so then the member demonstrates in writing good cause, or B, if a state of emergency has been proclaimed. Okay, just so that you know how that's to be determined for future reference. Okay.
Merely the village president, not their mother.
You wouldn't have liked it.
No. Okay, so, need a vote to move that to.
I make a motion to move.
We already have a motion and a second. We need a vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. Item, 7B, so we're at.
Yeah, this was actually clarified with the new contract and the language that I've read out of it, that if we want to look at understanding this, we're going to need to figure it out for ourselves.
Want to read what it is before we
Sure.
start talking about? Discuss repeat offenders, nuisance animals, clarification of process. Yes.
And the discussion on the contract, where I read the part of the contract language, which does clearly state that the Humane Society will not always have the ability to take on large livestock problem, children to call that, I guess. We need to figure out a basis within ourselves. Now, I notice it also says repeat offenders. That is a question that's not covered in the contract. And do we have a proposed solution?
For repeat
Repeat
offenders?
offenders. That was the other part of this.
No, I don't have a solution for repeat offenders, especially, what we're discussing is large animals, livestock.
Right.
Not repeat offenders,
Not
so
chickens.
chickens, dogs, cats,
Right.
exotic animals, talk about that. How we would
handle, we probably have to come up with ordinance that would deal with that, more than likely, really specifically.
Yeah, I agree.
And so that you all know, we've had large livestock repeatedly loose in dangerous situations. And right now, all we can do is find them, and it's possible that we can, theoretically, under the state law, you can impound them, but to figure out how you impound loose stallions, for example, or other bulls, it's not within the Humane Society's ability. And that's when Nancy said we have to figure it out ourselves. We have to figure it out ourselves. So anybody with any ideas, please let us know.
So, Elaine, this is a discussion item, there's no action on it.
No.
There's only action if the board wants there to be action. So if you want to give some direction to staff, then somebody should make a motion and pass that motion, otherwise it would just be.
Ms. Martin, what do you want to say?
Well, what I would suggest is that we face in some way or another as a community, right? This is a large animal community in part, and there are people with large animal expertise that this board doesn't have. I mean, I have some horses, but not loose stallions. So if anyone has any particular expertise, what do I want to do? Ask them to contact staff?
Or could we just suggest a public meeting and invite people to come and give ideas or suggestions without?
We did have a committee at one time. The reason that we have an ordinance on care of horses is that we had a committee of citizens that got together to knew about it and put it together. So,
Could you just direct staff to create an ordinance for you to review? And then we make amendments based on that.
We don't have any staff that is, and no disrespect to staff. We do not have staff that lives in the large livestock arena. We do have citizens who do. I think their input, the people actually deal with the bulls, deal with the heifers, should be involved in our figuring out what to work with staff.
right, the real problem is what if we can we impound animals? Because just finding people repeatedly apparently doesn't stop it, and it can be a dangerous situation. So direct staff to some kind of community engagement so that people that do have that expertise could provide input. For example, we may have people in this village with that expertise who are willing to contract with the Humane Society and make themselves available in that kind of a situation to house an impounded animal, for example. I don't know if we do.
Well, that was the direction that was given to staff from the Humane Society, was that it was more of a in-house solution that they would be a part of related to that, but they would need to know who that network is. And we can certainly try to gather people up, and if they wanna come and participate, I'd would probably be more inclined to write something and then have them review it and work with staff on crafting something that was more appropriate for the board. And maybe both Trustee Martin and Trustee Pierce have connections to that network of individuals that would like to review, anything that staff comes up with.
Okay.
Because I think it's gonna be easier than trying to coordinate with people and bring them into Village Hall and have, a committee or a meeting related to a very specific item. So we could look at what other communities have, and they don't have to be just in Wisconsin or in southeastern Wisconsin, but kind of far and wide to kind of capture what the other communities do. And then once staff has drafted something, we reach out to both you and Trustee Pierce and see who in the network of the farmers or horse community or cattle, large livestock, who would we reach out to and say, does this make sense? And then kind of use that.
Okay, that's fine. Staff works on that. That's a focal point to get this going.
Can you put that in the form of a motion, please?
I move to direct staff to work on a proposed ordinance. And following that proposed ordinance, to then gather a group of, interested citizens to review it.
I'll second it.
I see Elaine,
All in
roll your
favor?
eyes, but,
All in favor, say aye.
Oh, I'm
Opposed?
your no, because I just think we should talk to our community first. We did.
Okay.
We did.
We are adjourned.